I got home to find my dog gone. My mom said, "We sold him because your sister's kids needed new iPads." So I found him and bought him back. Then I took my revenge. When they found out what I'd done, they called me screaming. "Hey Reddit, my parents sold my dog for iPad money." "You'll be fine," Mom said. I wasn't. So I tracked him down, bought him back, then took my revenge. Grab your popcorn. This is going to be intense. Name's Ronan, 26 male. The house was too quiet when I opened the door Wednesday evening. Finn always hit the entrance like a freight train. 8 months old, Belgian Malinois mix, 70 pounds of muscle and energy. Smart as hell, loyal to a fault. He'd grab whatever toy was closest and do victory laps around the living room until I acknowledged him. Today? Nothing. I dropped my keys on the counter. Finn? My mom was standing in the kitchen washing dishes. Like it was any other Wednesday. Except his food station was gone from the corner. Water bowl missing. The bed disappeared from the living room. The chew toys I'd bought last week. All of it erased. Where's Finn? She kept scrubbing the same plate. Didn't look up. We sold him. Claudia's kids needed new iPads for school. You'll get over it. Took me a second to process what she'd just said. Sold. Past tense. Done deal. Like he was furniture. Excuse me? I managed to say. You heard me. What the heck do you mean you sold my dog? He's just a dog, she said, still not looking at me. Claudia's twins start 6th grade next month. They need tablets for their classes. Someone on that pet rehoming site paid $300 for him. Worked out perfect. My dad wandered in from the garage wiping grease off his hands. Don't start drama over this. The kids needed something. You can afford to get another dog later. Later. Like I could just swap him out for a new model when it was convenient for me to care again. I walked upstairs before I said something that would turn this into the kind of fight where police show up. Closed my door. Sat on my bed staring at the empty corner where his crate used to be. The corner where he'd sleep every night with his head on my shoe because he liked knowing where I was. They'd planned this. Waited until I left for my shift at the warehouse. Found someone willing to pay. Handed over a living thing I'd raised from a puppy and pocketed $300 for tablets that would be obsolete in 2 years. For reference, I'm 26. Been living at home 3 years trying to save for my own place. Big mistake. My family saw me less as a son and more as a checking account. My sister Claudia was 31 with twin daughters and a husband who worked sporadically between business ventures that never panned out. My parents treated her kids like they walked on water and me like the bank financing everything. The pattern had been there for years. Last Thanksgiving, Claudia showed up in a new Lexus. Gift from mom and dad. That same month, I'd lent them $2,000 for bills. Never saw it back. When I asked, my mom got teary and said she thought it was a gift. That I was cruel bringing it up during holidays. Meanwhile, my brother-in-law's truck payment kept appearing on my statements. $400 monthly. My dad would show up needing my truck for a quick errand that turned into 3-day construction projects. Came back with scratches, dents, empty tank. When I complained, he'd say I should be grateful he was teaching me about family loyalty. Loyalty only went one direction in that house. I opened my laptop and started searching. Craigslist first, then Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, Nextdoor, every rehoming site in Maricopa County. Finn wasn't just any mutt. Belgian Malinois mix with tan and black coloring, pointed ears, white patch shaped like a lightning bolt on his chest. Distinctive. Someone would list him, set up alerts on every platform, made a spreadsheet with columns for date, location, price, contact info, photos, checked the posting history on every account that had listed similar dogs in the last week, cross-referenced profiles, looked for patterns. My supervisor texted at midnight asking where I was tomorrow. Deleted it. Called in sick the next morning using a voice I didn't have to fake. First sick day in 18 months. My parents thought I was upstairs sulking, that I'd come down by dinner, maybe apologize for the attitude, accept their decision like I always did. Like when they borrowed my truck for 6 months and returned it with a blown transmission and empty tank. Like when they used my credit card for their anniversary dinner, $300 I never saw again. Like when they promised to chip in on my student loans, then bought Claudia a minivan instead. Not this time. Around 2 in the morning, I found a lead. Belgian Malinois mix posted 6 hours ago on a rehoming group. Description said, high-energy working breed needs experienced owner. $300. Photos showed a fenced backyard in Tempe. Couldn't see the dog's face clearly, but the build looked right. Coloring matched. I sent a message. Said I was interested. Asked if the dog was still available. Got a response 10 minutes later. Yes. Could I meet tomorrow? I said absolutely. Spent the next day gathering evidence. Pulled up my bank statements going back 2 years. Actually read them this time instead of just checking the balance before paying rent. The pattern was way worse than I thought. Started 18 months ago. $43 at a gas station in Chandler. I'd never been to Chandler. 72 at a grocery store I'd never heard of. Then it escalated. 200 at Target, 350 at Best Buy, 540 at some furniture outlet in Mesa. All charged to the debit card attached to the account my mom convinced me to add her to just for emergencies. $9,247 across 18 months. Felt sick seeing that number. The charges painted a picture. Lifestyle. 300 to Valley Pet Adoptions 2 days ago. Same amount they got for Finn. 1,500 to Zales Jewelers last October. My sister's birthday bracelet she'd posted all over Facebook. 700 to some resort in Sedona for their anniversary weekend, while I pulled doubles they claimed were to help cover their water bill emergency. 400 monthly payments to Southwest Auto Finance. My brother-in-law's truck that kept breaking down outside my house. Another 600 spread across charges at Home Depot, with consulting business in the memo line. His was funding their entire operation on my back, while I worked 50-hour weeks trying to save $3,000 for a deposit on my own place. I started taking screenshots, created a timeline, started documenting everything. Screenshots of every charge, bank statements, text messages where my mom asked to borrow money I never got back, emails about the joint account, found something else while digging. 3 separate charges to a casino in Laughlin over the past year, 200 each. My parents had never mentioned going to Laughlin, but my brother-in-law had posted photos from there on his birthday. Another piece of the puzzle. They'd been funding his weekend trips while telling me they couldn't afford their water bill. I called the bank, explained there were fraudulent charges on my account, that someone with access had been making unauthorized purchases. The rep asked if I wanted to file a dispute. I said yes, all of them. She put me on hold. Came back 5 minutes later. Said I could file, but it would flag the account for investigation. That anyone with access would be contacted. Legal implications if the charges were made by someone I knew. I filed the disputes. Every single one. 93 transactions. The rep said it would take a few business days to process. That my account would be temporarily frozen during investigation. That I should expect calls from their fraud department. Next, I opened a new account at a credit union across town. Transferred everything except $12. Just enough to keep the old account open for the investigation. Set up new direct deposit. Changed all passwords. Updated security questions to things my family couldn't possibly know. Then I started apartment hunting for real this time. Not the half-hearted browsing I'd been doing for years while making excuses about saving money. Actually serious looking. 1 bedroom, ground floor, allows large dogs. Within 30 minutes of work. Budget, 800 max. Found 3 possibilities by nightfall. Sent inquiry emails to all of them. Got 2 responses within an hour. That's when my phone buzzed. Text from my mom. Why is the bank calling me about fraudulent charges? I didn't respond. Just watched as more texts rolled in. This is ridiculous. Those were household expenses. You're being dramatic about the dog. We made a practical decision. Your father and I need to talk to you. Come downstairs. Another text came from Dad. The bank froze our account. Whatever you did, undo it now. This is affecting your mother's medication refills. First, I'd heard about any medication. Convenient timing. I turned on airplane mode. Went to bed. Slept better than I had in months. Woke up the next morning to discover they'd changed the Wi-Fi password and removed my phone line from their family plan. Classic move. I grabbed my stuff and walked out without saying a word to either of them. Drove straight to my buddy Killian's place in Scottsdale. We'd worked together at the warehouse for 2 years. Good guy. Kept his word. I texted him from a coffee shop. Need a place to crash for a week. Family situation. Can I use your couch? Response came back in 30 seconds. Guest room's open. Stay as long as you need. That's friendship. I moved in that afternoon. Didn't tell my parents where I was going. Didn't leave a note. Just packed everything that mattered into my truck and left. Clothes. Laptop. Finn's stuff I'd been keeping in my closet since they sold him. The documents I needed for the bank investigation. My birth certificate and social security card I'd hidden after my mom tried to open a credit card in my name 2 years ago. Killian was at work when I arrived. Let myself in. Set up in the guest room. Unpacked into one corner. Got the cheapest unlimited plan. Had it delivered to Killian's address. Then I called a lawyer. Found one through the credit union. They had a partnership program with a local firm that did free consultations. Guy's name was Aiden. I explained the situation in under 2 minutes. The unauthorized charges. The joint account my mom had access to. The fact that they'd sold my dog and used my money to cover the adoption fee. He asked if I had documentation. I told him I had everything organized chronologically in a folder marked Taxes 2024. He laughed at that. Smart. Bring everything Monday. 10 a.m. work for you? I'll be there. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. You're acting like a child. Come home and we'll discuss this like adults. I ignored it. Then my sister called. I let it go to voicemail. Listened to the message later. She was crying. Said I was tearing the family apart over a dog. That Mom was devastated. That I needed to apologize and fix this before I ruined everything. I didn't respond. Turned off my phone. Went to sleep. Monday morning, I met with Aiden at his office in downtown Phoenix. Brought my laptop with every screenshot and document organized in folders. He spent 40 minutes reviewing everything. Took notes. Asked questions about specific charges, how the joint account was set up, what my mom claimed the money was for. Then he leaned back. This is textbook financial abuse. Your mother systematically drained your account over 18 months. The volume and pattern indicate intentional fraud, not misunderstandings. Combined with the unauthorized sale of your property, you've got multiple angles here. I asked what came next. We file a police report. Press charges. Bank investigation supports the criminal case. We pursue civil action for the funds plus damages. Your parents face potential jail time, definitely fines, and a judgment that follows them for years. He paused. The dog sale adds emotional weight. Judges hate people who mess with pets. Plays well in court. I signed the retainer right there. He said paperwork would be ready Wednesday. Drove to the Tempe address from the rehoming posting. The one I'd found that first night. Pulled up to a decent house in a quiet neighborhood. Knocked on the door. A woman in her 40s answered. Said she'd already rehomed the dog. Some guy came by 2 days ago and picked him up. Paid cash. Didn't leave contact info. My chest tightened. Can you describe him? She said early 30s, average height, baseball cap. Drove a black Ford pickup. She'd asked for references, but he seemed knowledgeable about the breed and had cash in hand, so she went with it. I thanked her and left. Not Finn then. Wrong timeline. Wrong description. I spent the rest of the week following leads. Drove to 3 other addresses. None of them panned out. Every dead end made my blood boil. Finn was out there somewhere with strangers who didn't know him. Who didn't know he needed his food puzzle in the morning, or he'd scarf it down too fast. Who didn't know he was scared of garbage trucks. Who didn't know he slept better with a nightlight because loud noises in the dark made him anxious. Wednesday, I filed the police report with Aiden present. Detective Mills reviewed my documentation. Asked pointed questions about my parents, my sister, the timeline. She said they'd contact my parents for their side. That fraud cases took time. That I should expect retaliation and document any contact they attempted. I said that's exactly what I was counting on. That night, I got 3 voicemails. One from my dad saying I'd crossed a line. One from my mom crying about how I was destroying the family. One from my sister calling me every name in the book and saying her kids were asking why Uncle Ronan was being mean to Grandma. I forwarded all 3 to Aiden and Detective Mills. My sister tried showing up at my work the next day. Security called me at the warehouse. They escorted her off the property. She left screaming about how I'd regret this. Killian came home from work and found me on the couch, going through another batch of dog listings. He grabbed 2 drinks from the fridge and sat down. They're losing their minds, aren't they? Completely. Good. They earned it. He tapped his can against mine. For what it's worth, you're doing the right thing. Those are not family. They're just thieves who happen to share your DNA. 3 weeks later, I was eating cereal at Killian's place when my phone rang. Unknown number. Almost didn't answer. Something made me pick up. Is this Ronan Doyle? Who's asking? This is Qley from East Valley Animal Services. I'm calling about a Belgian Malinois mix that was brought to our facility yesterday. His microchip is registered to you. Everything stopped. Is he okay? He's fine. Little underweight. Some anxiety behaviors. But healthy. The people who dropped him off said they couldn't handle him. That he'd been destroying their furniture and escaping their yard. We scanned him for a chip and your name came up. I was already grabbing my keys. I'm on my way. 20 minutes felt like 2 hours. Every red light, every slow driver, every second wondering if this was real or if I'd show up to find out someone already claimed him. My hands were white-knuckled on the steering wheel the entire drive. I walked into East Valley Animal Services at 11:40 a.m. The place smelled like industrial cleaner trying to mask dog urine and fear. The woman at the front desk matched her voice. Mid-30s, kind eyes, name tag, said Qley. She directed me to the kennels without asking questions. She led me through the front area, through a steel door. down a concrete hallway lined with chain link runs filled with barking dogs. Then I saw him at the end of the row. Finn was pacing in the corner of his kennel, thinner than 3 weeks ago, ribs visible when he turned, coat dull and patchy in spots like he'd been stress shedding. He had this frantic energy I'd never seen before, kept glancing toward the door every few seconds. Ears back, tail low. I said his name once. His head snapped around, ears shot forward. Then he was at the gate, not walking, launching himself at it, jumping, whining, pawing at the chain link. Hard enough his nails left marks on the metal, making these sounds I'd never heard him make. Something desperate that made my chest hurt. Qley opened the gate and stepped back. Finn hit me like he'd been shot out of a cannon, knocked me back 3 steps. Would have put me on my ass if I hadn't planted my feet. Paws on my chest, licking my face, whining and crying and shaking all at once, his whole body trembling like he couldn't believe I was real. I wrapped my arms around him. His collar was 2 holes tighter than where I'd kept it. Someone had adjusted it, probably when he started losing weight. That detail hit harder than it should have. "How long has he been here?" I asked. "Since yesterday afternoon. The couple who dropped him off said they'd had him about 3 weeks. Got him from a family rehoming situation. Said he wasn't what they expected." She paused, looked at Finn pressed against me. "I'm guessing you didn't rehome him voluntarily." "My family sold him without permission." Her expression went flat. "That's disgusting." I filled out the paperwork, showed ID, proved ownership through the microchip registration, vet records, photos going back to when he was 10 weeks old. Qley processed everything, said there was a $75 surrender fee. I paid it. She gave me the leash, said he was current on shots, that they'd done a basic health check, that he should see a vet within the week given the weight loss. I thanked her and left. Finn stayed glued to my side the entire walk, jumped in the passenger seat, lay down with his head on my lap, didn't move the entire drive to Killian's place. Qley was home when we arrived, took one look at Finn and said, "Gosh, looks like he's been through hell." Yeah, people didn't know what they were doing, couldn't handle him. Dumped him at the shelter yesterday. Qley knelt down, let Finn sniff his hand. "Hey buddy, you're home now." Finn's tail gave one weak thump. I set him up in the guest room with me. Food, water, his old bed I'd saved. Spent the rest of the night just sitting with him. He didn't want me out of his sight. Every time I got up to use the bathroom, he followed. I called Aiden the next morning, told him I had the dog back. He said that was excellent news, that it strengthened our case. Then he told me the fraud charges were moving forward, that the bank had found in my favor on all 93 disputed transactions, that they'd reversed the charges and were pursuing their own investigation into my mom for account fraud, that Detective Mills had interviewed my parents, and they'd given conflicting stories about the money, that my sister had refused to cooperate when contacted. Things were falling apart for them, and I was just getting started. I found an apartment 2 days later, ground floor 1 bedroom in Gilbert, $700 a month, allows large dogs, quiet complex. Management didn't ask questions when I said I needed to move in immediately. Signed the lease on the spot. Paid first month, last month, and deposit. $2,800 I'd managed to save. The landlord handed me keys and said I could move in that weekend. Qley helped me move. Took about 3 hours. We grabbed food after. Sat in my empty living room eating burritos on the floor. I showed him my email from Aiden. The fraud charges, civil suit, bank investigation. Qley read it twice. "Your mom's looking at jail time. 6 months to 2 years, plus restitution, fines, permanent record. Your sister? Named in the civil suit for the iPad value, $1,200. Qley handed back my phone. "You're destroying them. They deserve this." We finished eating. Qley left. The next morning I hit IKEA. Bought a futon, basic dishes, cheap coffee maker. Spent 4 hours assembling furniture while Finn supervised. He kept trying to steal the Allen wrenches like toys. Made everything take twice as long. I sat in that empty apartment with him sprawled across my lap and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Real peace. My phone buzzed. Text from Mom. "We need to talk. Please. I'm sorry." Too late for sorry. Sorry doesn't unsell my dog. Doesn't return $9,000. Doesn't erase 18 months of theft and manipulation. Another text from my sister this time. "You're really going to let Mom go to jail? Over money?" "What's wrong with you?" I replied. "She stole from me for 18 months. Sold my dog. Used my money to cover it up. What's wrong with you for thinking that's okay?" Started getting furniture over the next week. Futon from IKEA. Coffee table from a garage sale. Decent TV someone was selling on Facebook for cheap because they were moving. Built everything myself while Finn supervised from his bed. He was gaining weight back. Started playing with his toys again. Took him to the vet that Friday. Doc said he was about 8 pounds underweight, that his stress behaviors were textbook for a dog who'd been through major disruption and neglect. Said with consistent routine and proper feeding, he'd bounce back fine. No permanent damage. Just needed time. I asked about the patchy coat. Doc said stress shedding. Would grow back once he felt secure. Gave me some supplements. Recommended continuing with whatever I'd been doing before. Aiden called Wednesday afternoon. Said we had a court date set for 6 weeks out. That my parents had hired a lawyer. That their lawyer had reached out about settling. What are they offering? Full restitution of the disputed funds. No admission of guilt. They drop all contact with you permanently. And what do they want? You drop the criminal charges. I laughed. No. That's what I told them you'd say. Just wanted to confirm. They stole from me, sold my dog, used my money to finance it, then tried to gaslight me into thinking I was overreacting. They face consequences or we go to trial. And honestly, I'd rather go to trial. Music to my ears, I'll let them know. He hung up. They were panicking, realizing this wasn't going away, that I wasn't backing down. Qley came by that night with his girlfriend Nora. They'd been dating 8 months. She worked as an ER nurse at Banner Health. Tough, practical, no-nonsense personality that matched Qley's perfectly. She took one look at Finn and melted. Oh my God, he's beautiful. Look at those ears. Hey, buddy, you're gorgeous. Finn responded by bringing her his rope toy, dropped it at her feet and did a play bow. First time I'd seen him initiate play with a stranger since I got him back. Nora played tug with him for 15 minutes while Qley and I set up the TV. Finn was gentle with her. Qley told me what happened, she said during a break, scratching behind Finn's ears. Your family sounds like a nightmare. They had their moments. He also said you're pressing charges. Good. People like that never stop unless you force them to. They just keep taking and taking until there's nothing left. That's the plan. She sat back on the futon. Finn immediately put his head in her lap. Total betrayer. My parents pulled similar stuff when I was younger. Not the dog thing, but the money stuff. Using guilt and obligation to drain me dry. Borrowed $5,000 for Dad's business venture that mysteriously never materialized. Asked me to co-sign a car loan because their credit was shot. Wanted me to put the house utilities in my name because the company shut off their service for non-payment. What did you do? Said no to the car and utilities. Lost the $5,000 but learned a valuable lesson. Cut them off 5 years ago when they tried to guilt me into paying for my brother's rehab. Best decision I ever made. Haven't heard from them in 3 years. No regrets? None. You don't owe toxic people access to your life just because they're related to you. Blood doesn't entitle them to abuse you. Doesn't mean you have to set yourself on fire to keep them warm. Took me years to figure that out. Qley opened sodas from my fridge, handed one to each of us. To burning bridges with people who deserve it. We tapped cans, we ordered pizza, watched movies. Finn passed out between us on the couch. Normal night. This was what life was supposed to feel like. The court date arrived 6 weeks later on a Tuesday morning. I showed up at 8:45 a.m. with Aiden and a flash drive containing every piece of documentation we'd compiled. 17 pages of evidence that told a story. My parents showed up with their lawyer, public defender named Thomas, who looked like he'd rather be getting dental work. Overworked, underpaid, already defeated. My sister sat in the gallery behind them wearing sunglasses indoors. Refused to make eye contact when I looked her way. The hearing started at 9 sharp. Judge Ortega had reviewed the case file beforehand. Aiden presented our case first. He called it what it was. Your Honor, this isn't a family helping each other through difficult times. This is a systematic operation where the defendant and her husband funded their lifestyle entirely through their son's labor, while he worked 50-hour weeks trying to save for his own place. My mom cried on the stand. Said she didn't think I'd mind. That she thought the money was for family expenses. That she was sorry. That she'd pay it all back. Judge Ortega wasn't buying it. Did you have explicit permission to make these purchases? Well, no, but yes or no, Mrs. Doyle? No. And you understand that taking money from someone's account without permission is theft, regardless of your relationship to them? He's my son. I didn't think it applied to family. That's when their lawyer made his move. Stood up and pulled out a document from his briefcase. Said, Your Honor, if I may, the defense submits a power of attorney form signed by Mr. Doyle 2 years ago, giving his mother full financial authority over his accounts. This authorizes all charges made. This is a family misunderstanding, not fraud. The courtroom went quiet. Aiden's head snapped toward me. Whispered low enough only I could hear, Did you sign anything like that? Never. Good. Because that signature looks like a third grader forged it with their wrong hand. Aiden stood up. I'd like to examine that document. Judge Ortega allowed it. Aiden took 30 seconds looking at it. Then he pulled out his phone, took a photo, pulled up another photo, my signature on the retainer agreement I'd signed with him, held them side by side. Your Honor, I'd like to request a 5-minute recess to verify something crucial. We stepped outside. Aiden zoomed in on both signatures on his phone screen. Look at this. The loops are different. The slant is wrong. The pressure points don't match. Someone forged your signature. Badly. Back in the courtroom, Aiden presented the comparison, pointed out every difference, suggested they might want to add forgery and fraud to the charges if this continued. My parents' lawyer went pale, started backtracking, said maybe he'd been mistaken about the document's validity, that his clients had provided it, but he hadn't verified its authenticity. Classic move. Throw the clients under the bus to save his own skin. Judge Ortega's expression went from stern to ice cold. Mrs. Doyle, did you forge your son's signature on this power of attorney document? Silence. My mom looked at my dad. My dad looked at the floor. Neither of them answered. Mrs. Doyle, I asked you a direct question. My mom broke, started crying harder. Yes, I did it 6 months ago, just in case I needed proof. I never meant to use it. I was going to tell him. I didn't know what else to do. Judge Ortega closed her eyes, took a breath. Forgery, on top of fraud and theft. This just went from bad to much, much worse for you, Mrs. Doyle. My dad's testimony made it worse. He doubled down despite the forgery bombshell. Said I was being dramatic, that I'd always been selfish, and this proved it. That boys his age understood responsibility to their parents. The verdict came back harder than we'd initially expected. Full restitution of $9,247, paid in monthly installments over 24 months at $390 minimum per month. Not the 12 months we'd argued for. The judge said given the forgery attempt and the defendant's lack of remorse, she wanted extended oversight. Additional $7,000 in damages for emotional distress and the unauthorized sale of my property. Court costs. 8 months supervised probation for my mom. Mandatory financial counseling once weekly. Permanent restraining order preventing any contact with me. No calls, no texts, no social media, no third-party communication. 500-foot minimum distance at all times. My dad got 6 months probation as an accessory, elevated from 3 months due to his courtroom behavior and benefit from the stolen funds. My sister wasn't criminally charged, but the civil judgment stood. $1,200, plus 18% interest compounded monthly until paid in full. Then, Judge Ortega dropped the real hammer. Mrs. Doyle, the forgery charge will remain on file. If you violate your probation in any way, miss a payment, violate the restraining order, fail to attend counseling, I will pursue that charge. Forgery is a Class 4 felony in Arizona. That's 18 months to 3 years in prison. Do you understand? My mom nodded. I understand, Your Honor. They walked out of that courtroom looking like someone had physically beaten them. My dad's face was gray. My mom couldn't stop shaking. My sister left before the verdict even finished. Didn't stick around to watch her parents face consequences for once in their lives. Aiden shook my hand outside the courthouse. That went better than expected. The forgery attempt probably added another year to their probation. You'll get your money back in installments over the next 24 months. The restraining order is permanent unless you petition to remove it. I won't. Didn't think so. If they contact you, document it and call the police. Violation carries separate charges, and given that forgery threat hanging over them, they'd be stupid to risk it. I thanked him, paid his final invoice on my phone, drove back to Gilbert and picked up Finn from Killian's place. How'd it go? Killian asked. I told him everything. Hell yes. He held up his hand. I took it. Your mom going to jail? Not unless she violates probation, but it's on the table now. Nora hugged me. Proud of you. That took guts. That night, I blocked them all, my parents and my sister. Took Finn home, fed him dinner, took him for a long walk around the complex, let him sniff everything, mark his territory, claim this place as home. When we got back, I checked my email. Message from the bank. The investigation had concluded. They'd found evidence of identity fraud related to my account. My mom had attempted to open 2 credit cards in my name over the past 3 years. Both applications had been denied due to credit flags I'd set up, but the attempts were documented. The bank was referring that information to the fraud department and the police. More charges coming, more consequences, more proof that this wasn't a misunderstanding. I forwarded the email to Detective Mills. She responded within the hour, said they'd add it to the existing case file, that it strengthened the pattern of fraud, that my mom was looking at additional charges. A couple months later, I ran into my sister at a grocery store. She saw me first, started walking over with this determined look on her face. I turned my cart around and walked the other way, heard her call after me, kept walking, checked out, and left. She tried calling from a new number that night. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail, said mom was struggling, that the probation was hard on her, that the financial counseling was humiliating, that I should show some compassion. That family forgives. I deleted it without responding. Got a call from Aiden 2 weeks later. Said my mom had missed a restitution payment, that the court had sent her a warning. One more missed payment, and they'd pursue the forgery charges. Think she'll pay? She doesn't have a choice. The alternative is jail time. Real jail, not probation. Your mom strikes me as someone who'd drain her retirement before she'd risk that. Good. Let her feel it for once. That's the spirit. Family forgives. Sure, after they steal from you. Sell your dog. Use your money to fund their lifestyle. Then act like you're the problem for having boundaries. Some bridges you burn. Some you nuke from orbit. This was the second kind, and I had no intention of ever rebuilding it. 3 months after the court date, I got a package delivered to my apartment. No return address. Inside was a framed photo of our family from years ago. Christmas morning. Everyone smiling. My mom's handwriting on the back. Remember when we were happy? I took a photo of it. Sent it to Detective Mills with a note. Restraining order violation? They know my address. She confirmed it was a violation. Said if it happened again, they'd pursue charges. The frame also contained a thumb drive taped to the back. I didn't plug it in. Didn't trust it. Took it straight to Aiden's office. He had his IT guy check it. Virus-free but loaded with family photos and videos. Guilt trip material. Evidence they were escalating their attempts at manipulation. Aiden added it to the case file. Said it showed continued harassment despite court orders. Said the judge would not be pleased if he saw this. I threw the frame in the dumpster. Kept the thumb drive as evidence. Didn't need reminders of what we used to be. What we used to be was built on me not having boundaries. On me accepting whatever they did because that's what... I got home to find my dog gone. My mom said, "We sold him because your sister's kids needed new iPads." So I found him and bought him back. Then I took my revenge. When they found out what I'd done, they called me screaming. "Hey Reddit, my parents sold my dog for iPad money." "You'll be fine," Mom said. I wasn't. So I tracked him down, bought him back, then took my revenge. Grab your popcorn. This is going to be intense. Name's Ronan, 26 male. The house was too quiet when I opened the door Wednesday evening. Finn always hit the entrance like a freight train. 8 months old, Belgian Malinois mix, 70 pounds of muscle and energy. Smart as hell, loyal to a fault. He'd grab whatever toy was closest and do victory laps around the living room until I acknowledged him. Today? Nothing. I dropped my keys on the counter. Finn? My mom was standing in the kitchen washing dishes. Like it was any other Wednesday. Except his food station was gone from the corner. Water bowl missing. The bed disappeared from the living room. The chew toys I'd bought last week. All of it erased. Where's Finn? She kept scrubbing the same plate. Didn't look up. We sold him. Claudia's kids needed new iPads for school. You'll get over it. Took me a second to process what she'd just said. Sold. Past tense. Done deal. Like he was furniture. Excuse me? I managed to say. You heard me. What the heck do you mean you sold my dog? He's just a dog, she said, still not looking at me. Claudia's twins start 6th grade next month. They need tablets for their classes. Someone on that pet rehoming site paid $300 for him. Worked out perfect. My dad wandered in from the garage wiping grease off his hands. Don't start drama over this.